Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is considered to be the most effective system of self-defense in the world, and now it's an effective anti-bullying tool. And there's only one place to do it in New Mexico, and that's at the New Mexico Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And joining us this morning is the owner and head instructor, Justin Hall. Justin, thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited because, I mean, I know a little bit about Jiu-Jitsu, but what exactly is this type of Jiu-Jitsu? It's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Correct, and really the history behind it is, it's commonly referred to as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it was originally created by the Gracie brothers in Rio de Janeiro back in the 1920s. But really one of the brothers in particular, his name is Grandmaster Elio Gracie, he's the one that's really responsible for it, for what it's become today.
Yeah.
And what happened is the story is really interesting because he himself was the youngest of the brothers. He was very physically frail and small. He just couldn't do the techniques that his brothers, the judo techniques his brothers were learning.
Right.
And so he had to kind of modify and fine-tune these techniques so they would work for him.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity.
Wow.
And that's really what it is that we practice today.
Okay, that's interesting because you don't really hear about the history of so many different forms. There's so many different forms of martial arts in the world today, but specifically, like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I know the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu that most people know from that martial arts. But what differentiates like the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu from the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, there's a lot of differences, and even there are two things that I think really help separate. Not even so much focusing on just the Japanese from Brazilian, but Gracie Jiu-Jitsu now from really most martial arts, period. Which really, the two things that I think help separate them are, one, we always assume that we are the weaker, smaller person when it comes to a self-defense situation. And that being the case, we really rely on the ability to use leverage, having great timing, and really having a great understanding of the techniques itself so we can overcome someone who is much larger and stronger than us. Okay. And the other thing is really our training methods are very unique in the sense that we, when we do jiu-jitsu, are able to spar with each other with 100% resistance, which is of course what you get in a real situation. Yeah. Without actually hurting each other, because all we have to do is if we get caught in something is tap out. Okay. And that's like a reset button, and then we can just keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
So you're not getting like fully injured while
right,
you're
we're not
going
getting injured. Whereas most martial arts that focus on punching and kicking, if you do that 100%, you're not going to work tomorrow. And so you can never do that. Well, with this you can, and I think that's one of the reasons that people are able to defend themselves with jiu-jitsu at a very fast rate compared to most other martial arts.
Absolutely. Would you say it takes a shorter amount of time to really understand the core foundation of the martial art?
Jiu-jitsu is kind of neat because it's one of those things where it takes a short period of time to be able to defend yourself, but it takes actually a much longer period of time to really understand. Okay.
Yeah. And tell me about like the anti-bullying campaign you guys have going with this, and because you don't really think about martial arts being, I mean, you could say it's self-defense, but in terms of anti-bullying, how do you work that?
Right, and the program we teach is called the Gracie Bully Proof Program, and it's really a very well thought out, all-encompassing program. And what I mean by that is, we of course teach our students, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and how can they defend themselves if they get physically attacked. And the cool thing is we teach them how to defend themselves without ever having to throw a punch or a kick, so no one ever actually has to get hurt. Right. But the other thing is we focus on more other aspects, because there's a lot to bullying, right? And there's verbal bullying, so we teach them how to handle verbal bullying, because that's more common and honestly more destructive usually to kids.
Absolutely.
And we teach them, what to say to a bully, how to say it, who to get involved if there is a problem. And we teach them the proper rules of engagement, the things to follow whenever they do get in a situation.
Okay, that's good. So it's informational, not all just physical, but understanding how to deal with the altercation and how to move forward with it.
We give them answers.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And how do you say that this Gracie could help children?
Just in general, the great thing about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is the benefits they receive are multifaceted. In the sense, of course, there's great physical benefits. They're going to get in shape. They're always exercising. It's going to help their coordination, their balance, and all that kind of great stuff. On the mental side, of course, it helps improve their discipline, which translates into their school and their home. It builds a level of self-respect, and which of course eventually translates for their respect for other people. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing that they get from it, and the most important thing, is a high level of self-confidence. Yeah, and absolutely. That self-confidence comes from them knowing they have an answer for whatever situation might arise, and they can take that with them wherever they go. Yeah, that's amazing. And that's the most important thing by far.
Yeah, thank you. Well, how can parents get more information or sign their kids up for this program?
Well, that part's easy. All you have to do is either go to our website, it's www.nmjujitsu.com, and fill out an online inquiry, and we'll get back to you right away. Or you can call us at 505-341-1500, and we'll schedule an appointment right away. And we're offering a free 10-day trial. So
Perfect.
the great thing about that is you guys come in totally free, try it for 10 days, and you guys can really make an educated decision on if it's the right program for you and your family.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Justin. Really appreciate it, and thank you for educating me on the jiu-jitsu because I had no idea about that before.
Anytime. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome.